Reverend Obofo. Sam, go back small. Oh, okay. Oh, Bishop. Okay.
Yeah, it's about.
Yes. So
my name is Apostle Ibrahim.
Okay, so hold on a second for me. So to make it very easy for us, I'm going to crave your indulgence because of time. Please, if you have a question, just stand in the aisles for me. I want to plead with you so that I know the numbers I'm dealing with and that we know how to do this. Just stand in the aisles for me. We can do it. Hey, please sit down. Please sit down. please, you guys sit down. Your Excellency, you need to do this again. All right, Bishop, please sit down. Please sit down. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. We know what to do. Don't worry. Yes.
My name is Apostle Ibrahim Lincoln.
Yes.
Apostolic Mantle Worship Center.
Yeah. Let's keep it short.
My question is about the dissolution of the banks and the microfinance. You know, as Reverend Obofo said, we know the people very well. They come to us. A lot of people are going, they're in the house, graduates, some have turned to what they call Uber drivers. And they come to us, we have to pray for them. Their problem is the dissolution. Will you bring the bank back? That is our prayer.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Obi, let's take maybe two more here. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Excellency, for this program. My name is Reverend Michael Benson, popularly called Reverend Power, of Kings and Priests Church International. Your Excellency, I have one question and then a humble plea to all of us get there. Please, in this era of unanimous decision 7-0, 5-0 that we were seeing just some few years ago, I mean in this current administration, when issues go to court, I believe some of you may know what I'm talking about. My worry is, how can we trust that when you come, the Operation Recover or Loot? My worry is, how can we believe that you can really pursue this? Because I remember you met should I say NDC lawyers some time ago, lawyers who are sympathizers to NDC some time ago, and you raised the concern about how the current government has more or less filled the judiciary with their sympathizers. And so you were even encouraging them that when you come to power, they should also pursue those avenues. So this is the situation we have right now. The Operation Recover or Loot. I foresee impediments at the...
All right. So you want to know how His Excellency will handle that?
The assurance that it's going to be very effective.
Thank you very much.
Number two, please, the humble plea. That one is just a humble suggestion.
Okay.
With the exception of the fathers of the land, please, I'm begging all of you that I think that we should encourage our members to follow the political space. A lot of our people don't bother about politics. They watch these soap operas. Some of them, to me, they are necessary. But they need to also follow politics of the country to know how the country is being run.
Thank you.
It's being governed.
Thank you.
Please, this is just a humble plea. Thank you very much.
That's a very important one. So, in all fairness, let's come to this lane. Some. One here. Then let's come to this lane. Now, not all of us will get the opportunity to speak during this segment. But at the end of the program, you can see on the program you have that there will be a meet and greet photo op segment before His Excellency takes leave of us. And so you may get the opportunity to whisper something into his ear or to tell him something if you don't get the opportunity during this segment to ask your question.
Yeah, my name is Prophet Dr. Richard Wilson from Multitude Evangelistic Ministry International. I saw a video circulating all over social media. A chief imam appealing to all Muslims to vote for a Muslim candidate. His Excellency, I want to know, what are you saying to Christian body? Secondly, my second question goes this way. We have been hearing that most of the names have been transferred to various places. Some people will go, they cannot find their names to vote. Now, I want to appeal to His Excellency and the Christian body, all our church leaders, pastors, bishops, because most of the times when it happens, they will be asking Christian Council to corner the candidate and talk to him in secret and tell him to accept the defeat or whatever. Please, what I'm trying to say is, if independent audit is not allowed to go through the registration on the 7th December, if they bring any darkness result, we should not accept it. Christian Council should not accept it.
Thank you.
So put your feet down and appeal to EC right now before it is too late.
Thank you very much. So, Your Excellency says I should take 2 more for this round. He will answer, and then we'll do one last round before we go. So Sam, please. Reverend Lamte, we'll come. Let's just so we are equitable with the way we take the questions. Yes. So 2 here.
Hello, Your Excellency. I am Apostle Joshua, Orekukudok, City of Salvation, United Kingdom. I flew all the way from the UK. The message that the Lord gave in regards to your promise to restore and bring back the National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving. It is laid on our spirit and our hearts that as a nation, it has to be a national day of reflection, repentance, thanksgiving, and new expectations. Because we cannot, as human institution, ignore the fact that we don't make errors. And we cannot move forward if we can't identify or acknowledge our errors before we move. So I will advocate that wonderful day of thanksgiving and prayer will be a national day of reflection, repentance, and then thanksgiving, and then
new expectations. Thank you very much.
The second one, please. Psalm 127, it says, except the Lord builds the house, we build in vain. And as human institutions, we may encounter crisis. I will advocate that in terms of crisis, if we can call the fathers of the land, the spiritual fathers, to engage in retreats so that God can give us the way out by His own counsel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sam, let's do one from here. Yeah.
Your Excellency, my name is Okorie Miriku. Meda Asafo Redeemers Ego Chapel International Danso my Griffey. Na I say ye kasa. Emela ye papa kasa no. Ye kasa bibiri but ade ba ko ami hu ne say yenka insu a eda yempatam ho asem. Emi say ye papa nya kwan tutu akwan akonkro bibiri so. Kuro bia be ye fa ejina insu a eda yempatam so. But yehwe Accra Kumasi regions nyina insu eda yempatam nyina ye basa nyina ebi enwa etimi di boat efa so ekoba bi me pese me bisa se awurade yadom na ye papa nya akwanya no wosan ba bie mu a se nsu nyina ede na obetumi ayafa ho ama Ghana abeye Ghana na de etosu mienu so ye pese me bisa se ne opponent ne ka se mbisa se wo ba obeje in sorry tax na ɔno nso so no na adwene kyerɛ ne sɛ ɔno nso ba ɛyɛ the same anaasɛ one day oba saa adwene nyɛ deɛ.
Thank you very much. Obi, because they've been standing for long, let's just do a few of them, and then His Excellency can take these ones.
Okay, thank you. Again, on the day of prayer, my simple Father Christopher Vojogbe, National Catholic Secretariat, Director, Religious Education. For prayer to be a prayer, you have to act on it. If you gather to pray for peace, then you must pursue justice. Otherwise, the prayer for peace will not have peace in this country. If you gather to pray for good rain to enhance our agriculture, then we must stop abusing our environment. So if you gather to pray, let us act on the prayer and God will answer us.
Thank you very much. One more in the queue. Okay.
Within the Osofo Osei Bonsu from Scotland, UK, Christ Compassion and leader of JDM door-to-door campaign team. Me papa no dem pasa be kan nyina em se bi no madikan kana me question ye ba akopɛ ma ye wura oman bia ne chichire no ye the professionals and the chichire and na wo ba UK a ye professionals bebre aba be go na no be nanan ne na me ba bi betena me ho sui adwuma kora wonya bi nye se ye wura ba sa nkofo na akodis akoka amanone a opeso obafie a wontumi mana wadwuma nanka woye ne ha adwuma titire a enne ebinum abɔ asesa wo akwantuo mu no den na yewura ebeye wo mo.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I have two questions. My name is Reverend Evelyn Amihe from Mount Horeb Ministries. When His Excellency was speaking, he talked on the subject of giving grants to first year students, the first year, and then the subsequent years they will be given loans. I wanted to ask and know whether the grants, is it all inclusive? That is government and private institutions. Because if you would do a proper assessment, you would know that Ghana is now more pro-private institution. They keep on growing, including churches going into institutions. So I want to know whether that grant would also include students from the private institutions.
All right, thank you.
Then secondly, His Excellency in his speech or talk kept on, saying we promise I do this. They are good. I didn't hear anything about income generation proposal, because for all that you intend doing, they must be funded. And I didn't hear any income generation proposal. And for me, I want to just propose that his team will do very good research and come out with a proper taxation system, so that not just a few Ghanaians bear the burden, especially salary workers.
So you're talking about revenue mobilization. Thank you. So last one on that row, and then we will wait till the second stage. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Sammy, and thank you to our fathers, especially my father, Reverend Anyanibodu. Daddy, God bless you. God bless you so much. My first question goes to His Excellency. As a clergy, one of the things that we know is the tolerance. Your Excellency, by the grace of God, you get the position as a president.
sometimes there are a lot of men of God that maybe cannot agree with you in your administration. If those part of maybe men of God who are not agreement in your style of leadership and they are talking, we've not heard you say anything against any man of God, but sometimes the communicators outside do say certain things against men of God. What are you going to do to ensure that those who disagree?
He has already won us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally, I think we've had a lot of this round.
Finally, we had recently in the news that there is a looming situation about food crisis because there is a shortage and there is a rain crisis in the northern part of the country. What are you going to do to make sure that we will not find ourselves in food crisis? Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very, very much. A round of applause for all those who asked questions and made observations and contributions. And with that, let's welcome to the microphone His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Wow, thank you very much. Very insightful questions. Let me answer them briefly so that we'll have space to ask some more. The first one was Reverend Michael, Catholic Secretariat. Yeah, good to see you again. And it's about the mode of our politics, where a duopoly, a dual, party system, because you have two major parties that dominate the political landscape. So sometimes the narrative becomes a bit too partisan. And I think that the posture of government itself and the president is what determines, how more partisan it becomes. Aside from that, we also need a reorientation of our media. And that is because a lot of the media is private owned, and the way our discussions are, shaped are to bring adversarial political forces to come and discuss everything under the sun. And so you're talking about veterinary medicine, and they go and bring somebody from NDC, somebody from MPP to discuss veterinary medicine and animal health. Every discussion in every talk show is between political adversaries, and that's one of the problems. I mean, we have duopolies in America, where there are two major parties: the Republicans and the Democrats, and then in UK we have the Conservatives and Labour. Yet you don't hear politicians on radio every morning, debating with each other and insulting each other. You can listen to all the talk shows. If there's something to be discussed, they'll bring neutrals, if it has to do with politics, or they'll bring people who have expertise in that particular area of discussion. But unfortunately, the stations seem to get better ratings when people are insulting each other and throwing abuse at each other. And then when it hits the climax and they are virtually at each other's throat, then they will pass their jingle through. It means they're very happy. I'll name in it station. But they'll pass their jingle through, it means that it's really heated in the studio. That is what we have done to ourselves. Unfortunately, the Constitution guarantees media freedom. We can reorient them gradually, but you cannot force them to change their style. And it's not only government that should assist to reorient them. I think that if civil society and all our leaders, take part and point out that, look, this is wrong. We must not always be about politics. We must not always, every discussion in the morning. Indeed, when I was president and I woke up from 6, if I survive till 10 o'clock, then I know the rest of the day will be okay. Because 10 o'clock, every station is discussing how useless you are, how... So, unfortunately, that is the society in which we live. I think that it will change with time, but for the meantime, let's see how it goes. Father Jima, we intend to hold the National Education Dialogue And so I think that ourselves and the Catholic Church can collaborate, because there's a lot of dysfunction in our educational system. The basic level that should receive a lot of our attention and resources, unfortunately, is being underfunded. The support in terms of books for the students at the basic level, for 5 years now, they haven't got any textbooks. The curriculum has been changed. They've not got new textbooks to be able to follow the curriculum. And the capitation grant that should go to the schools is in arrears for more than 1 year. And so we need to reorient ourselves as to how we pay attention to our educational system. And I think that in that dialogue we can resolve the issue of the management of schools and all that. I remember the MOU I said at the function we held in Tamale, that we're going to add the MOU as an issue for discussion and reach an understanding where all of us can sign onto the MOU. So let's collaborate on the National Education Dialogue with the Catholic Church so that we all come and bring our issues on board, and then we forge a consensus going forward. Reverend Obofo Eka Enyoma Boaedin, I just say next Opesu Sidaya cement a ton 1 million Ghana cedis per bag. Ayedin Parama Obia Odansi for Osha inflation so called Esro and Neoko Juma Osamba China Enyoma Ninabo Epega. Na Nina fi se Yesika Sem Senia Ase Edrono and no nama Enyoma Abeyesa Eka Abedaya so. Apart from that, and so we share 2021 and 2022 are buying Edge Bosnia Ifri Central Bank to the tune of more than 70 billion cedis. Now, say, economics are a catch or say Sikabe dos will chroma and my inflation cost because we be because it's too much money chasing too few goods. And no answer so because of the massive injection buying AJ Busia from Bank of Ghana at the toll system. I feel in a Bank of Ghana per se a second a free economy Senebeya Ebema and Yoma Ebo Ayemre Kakra. And they are introducing a gold coin so that people who have excess money will buy the gold coin so that they can mop up more of the currency from the system. Nti eno nyina eye nyoma ebeye ye nibriasem yeba. The first thing we are going to concentrate on is stabilizing the economic environment and stabilizing the currency, because osha maybe a dollar ne cedi exchange rate no be costro no na bibia abo e costro. Nti o se yetimi eye ne abetimi ama yesika ne ejina faako se ne be ya ebema enyoma yemre kakrama ye enhyemu a yehyemu yi enye ni twato a yebeshem mehyɛ obo se nyame adom oyeme adom na mebedi o mampanya afibia yebenya akwanya ne hwiase. The banks that were closed, the problem with the banks existed when I was president, and it came as part of the national economic briefs that I used to get, and also the security briefs I used to get. But we looked at it multidimensionally, that we needed to do something to save the banks. And so what we did was we gave some liquidity support, and then apart from that we were passing depositors guarantee bills and so on and so forth to create a better legislative framework to guide the banks. And the intention was that once we cross the hurdle into the next administration, we will take a decision on how to work it out. It's not rocket science. It's been done in this country before. We had the Financial Sector Adjustment Program, FinSAP, for those of you who would remember. And at that time, what the government did was we took all the toxic assets and liabilities off the books of the bank, and we gave it to a body called the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust. And then we cleaned up the books of the banks, improved their supervision, while the Non-Performing Assets Recovery Trust went after the liabilities in order to recoup what had been taken, the debts that had been taken off. And it worked. The banks came back to good health and they continued to do their work. When the world financial crisis happened, the Bank of Scotland was in trouble and was in danger of collapsing because of liquidity challenges. What did the Bank of England do? They gave them money and they took equity in the bank, and they put Bank of England supervisors in the bank. They worked with the management until the bank recovered and paid the loan that the Bank of England gave gradually. Today, the Bank of Scotland is one of the strongest banks that you have in UK. And so we could have used the same, the same method. What the banks needed to be able to survive would not have exceeded, it's estimated about 9 billion cedis to save them. So government could have advanced that money and then cleaned off the liabilities and taken equity and released the equity back gradually to them as they paid back. Unfortunately, government decided to shut them down. And when they shut them down, together with all the savings and loans companies and all of them, they created a debt of 25 billion. And so you solve a 9 billion problem with a 25 billion CD debt. I mean, nobody does that. And look at the kind of dislocation it caused. A lot of those people, he says, are Uber drivers. I mean, I know one who is a baker. She set up a bakery now. She's a banking professional. And a friend of our family was working in the bank. And so she came to me for support. I bought some ovens for her. And she's baking bread and meat pie and things instead of, doing accounting and what she was doing before. And so it has caused a lot of social dislocation. 2 of my daughter's mates in school had to be withdrawn because their parents, who were both bankers, had lost their jobs and they could no longer afford to pay the fees in the school in which my daughter was. So if you think about the social dislocation it has caused, I think that the decision was hasty. It is part of the reason we're facing this crisis, because that banking sector clean out debt was added onto our liabilities, because government guaranteed the deposits. And so if you guarantee the deposits, then you have the obligation to pay for the monies that had been lost as a result. So I would have done it differently, but the reality is that it was done, and now we have to face the crisis for it. I've said that we'll relook at it, because what it has done is it has wiped out indigenous participation in our finance and banking sector. These were the banks that were owned by Ghanaians. Most of the banks that are left are foreign-owned banks. And they found themselves in this difficulty because they were the ones lending to small and medium enterprises. And small and medium enterprise lending is the riskiest part of banking. The big banks don't want to do it. And so it's those small Ghanaian banks that were doing it. And that's why they got into trouble. And so we had an obligation to save them. Unfortunately, we didn't. We flushed them down the drain. And you can't go to the Access of this world or the Stanbics of this world as a small baker and go and get the same kind of attention and finance that you would have got from UT Bank or Unibank or one of them. So we're saying that we'll restore Ghanaians' participation in the banking and finance sector, because who owns your banking asset is a national security issue. We must not have our banking sector dominated only by foreign banks. We must have indigenous banks that are owned by Ghanaians. Reverend Benson talked about the unanimous FC and how will Operation Recover all the loot work when the judiciary has been packed, with judges. We have been drawing attention to this. This president has appointed more judges than all the judges appointed by all presidents from independence. No, that's true. From Nkrumah to my administration, if you calculate all the judges appointed, this president has appointed in 8 years more judges than all judges in history. And the appointment of judges is a very crucial thing in every country. In US, they have a limit on the number of justices of the Supreme Court. So everybody is praying that there will be precedent when a vacancy occurs on the Supreme Court so that they can appoint one justice. Unfortunately, there's no cap here in Ghana, and so this president has taken the opportunity to appoint as many judges as possible on the Supreme Court and even the appeal court. We don't have enough appeal courts. I think we have 2 appeal courts, or there was one in Tamale, I hear it's been closed down. And yet we have about more than 50 appeal court judges. And as for high court judges, just yesterday he was swearing in another 21. And it gives the impression that the courts are being packed for exactly the reason you are talking about, that once they appoint the judges, if cases involving accountability for abuse of public office come before the judges, because they appointed them, they would leave them off the hook. We will do our parts. We'll let the anti-corruption institutions work. And my trust and belief is that our judges will do the work that they have been appointed to do. They should look at the cases impartially and let justice prevail. After all, if somebody has been involved in wrongdoing, it is our taxpayers' money, including the judges' taxpayers' money, that has been misappropriated. And so he should look at the facts of the case. And if wrongdoing has been done, to do justice the way they should do it. I mean, our judges have security of tenure. You cannot remove them from office. And so they have nothing to fear. It doesn't matter who appointed you. Once you have been appointed, you cannot be removed by any precedent. And so my expectation is that they'll use their conscience and they would use their belief in whatever religion that they are part of to do justice when the cases come before them. I don't want any innocent person jailed, but when the things come, they should look at the facts of the case and judge it accordingly. They say the law is an ass, and so sometimes it will go anywhere you kick it. And so sometimes technicalities and things are used to get people off the hook. But it's my hope and prayer that we would gather the evidence, the anti-corruption institutions will do the investigations, and then when the facts are there, we'll go and put it before the judges, and the rest is left to their discretion. The second one was about Christians participating in politics. I believe more Christians and more people of faith should participate in politics. Prophet Wilson talked about an imam asking all Muslims to vote for a Muslim candidate. I think I saw the video too, and I thought it was most unfortunate because the office we're vying for is not an office that we're being elected to deal with the spiritual. We're being elected to manage the country and manage the citizens of this nation. Yes, we need spiritual guidance, we need prayers and intercession, but the qualification for doing that does not mean that one must be of a certain religion or not. And so if we're appointing a new pope, of course, you must be Catholic to become a pope. If we're appointing a new bishop, you must belong to that church to be a bishop. If we're appointing a new general superintendent for Assemblies of God, you cannot come from anywhere and come and be elected as general superintendent. If you are, they are electing a new national chief imam, of course, Pastor Wengam cannot go and become a new national chief imam. So you have to elect a Muslim. So we are not electing leaders of religious denominations. We are electing leaders to lead the nation. And so I do think that as much as possible the discourse should not bring our religion in. Let's look at the people who are offering themselves and let us based on our assessment of what we think is possible and what they can do, elect the best person to lead and manage this country. And so I'll say what he did was unfortunate, but of course people get very emotive when it gets to issues of politics, and especially when it comes to who becomes the president. With regards to the audit of the register, like I said, at an IPAC meeting, I hope that they'll be able to resolve this, because we think that the Electoral Commission should do its work properly, and that's why we are putting a lot of pressure on them. Look at what happened during the district assembly elections. They told us they were ready. Everything was set for the district assembly elections. On that day, all of us were ready. Remember that on the day of the district assembly elections, half of the country did not vote because the Electoral Commission was not ready. It didn't have the right registers at the right places and all that kind of thing. You saw the commotion that it caused. So part of us voted today and the other part voted tomorrow. Can you imagine if this happens during the presidential elections, that on the day we find out that things are so disorganized that some parts of the country are not voting, or they are late in voting and all that? Can you imagine the chaos it will cause? And so when we try to put Electoral Commission's feet to the fire, we're doing it so that they will sit up and do a good job. 58% of Ghanaians from the Afro-Barometer survey say that they believe in the Electoral Commission. And so they must not betray the trust of that 58% that believe in them. And that's why they must sit up and do the right thing. If you audit a register, it doesn't mean, it doesn't bring any stigma on the Electoral Commission. It's been done before. And I don't know why they're so, up in arms and defensive about having an audit of the register. We should have done this about a month ago when we started calling for it. Would have been done with it. All of us would have put the register behind us and be looking at other things to do with the processes towards the election. Unfortunately, they've kept defending and refusing till now, and so I don't know whether there's still enough time, but I hope that today's meeting would resolve it. National Day of Prayer.
Meeting with the clergy by the leader of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, where he's appealing to the clergy to collate their own results. That's quite an interesting one. For the clergy to collate their results. Well, I think that it will be interesting for every Ghanaian to also keenly monitor the elections as we go into whether a change or a continuance. But Ivy, what's your takeaway before we go back to the Alisa Hotel, where the IPAC meeting between the political parties, the civil society, and the EC is currently underway? And
interestingly, John Mahama keeps referring to that particular meeting as to whether it will be able to resolve the concerns of the NDC. Yes, of course. If anybody tells you that religion will not play a part in this year's elections, the person is lying to you in the face. It will. And so it's not surprising at all that a candidate will want to assemble the religious leaders, especially the Christian community, and have such an engagement. It's good. Exchange of ideas, questions have been asked. Basically, the former president repeated many of the things he said on the campaign platforms or in NDC manifesto anyway. And so, yes, religion will play a part. Interestingly, you talked about his charge on the Christian community and its leadership to take a keen interest in what will happen come December 7th, and that they should deploy observers to the voting centers. And if they can, they should do what you can describe as collation. And so they can match their figures against whatever will be churned out by the EC or the political parties who also do their own collation. And I'm sure it's just about checks and balances. And so if anybody claims that I won, you look at your figures like Odeo does, right? And then
is it in tandem with what has been churned out by the Electoral Commission?
Exactly.
And like you mentioned, religion will play a critical role. That's why both the NPP leader and NDC leader both meet the clergy as and when they're on the campaign trail. Baumia has done that a number of times, Mahama. But this time around, Mahama is meeting them en masse.
Exactly.
I'm waiting to see if he will meet the what do you call it? The Islamic
the clerics, and then yes, of course, the Muslim community relative to the Islamic clerics, and then the imams and what have you. Yes, but of course, what was quite surprising to me was the presence of Usu Bempa.
Yes. and John Mahama addressing him as my very good friend.
Yes, how time changes, right?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. Just like that.
And I'm sure you've heard a number of his sermons where he's projecting Mahama ahead of Bawumia, which is quite unusual of him, because we saw what he said prior to the 2016 elections, 2020, and now he seems to be shifting camps. Well, let's see what that means in the coming days. But let's go back to Alisa Hotel, where Jean Adukwemensah is speaking at the Inter-Party Advisory Committee meeting between the EC and the various political parties and then civil society.
Any other? Please, NDC, hold on. Any other? GHOne, LPG, and then NPP. So, APC. Okay. So, NDC, please. Doctor, please introduce yourself and then you ask on comments. Thank you.
My name is Kofi Amanegwa, Director for Elections and IT NDC. I think that this ground rule must be modified. Obviously, no other political party was seen during the PowerPoint and presentation being responded to. So it is obvious we have done a good job, and that is why today you are all here to help deepen our democracy. This said, very obviously, 1 to 4 minutes for all other political parties will certainly not be enough for the NDC. Thank you. When your roof is leaking, you can decide to mop, keep mopping, and keep mopping. Or you can decide to fix the leakage and mop. What we see here is mopping and mopping and mopping. Fixing the leakage is missing. And this is at the heart of our altruistic demand for a forensic audit. This forensic audit is not just about the register. When you have fixed the register, and I will demonstrate to you how, as a result of our revelations, some aftermath fixing is providing a semblance of we are fixing it. When you fix it, and we all look at the hard copies, and we are all giving the PVR, the soft copies. In November, if the very criminals that got us here are still there, engaged in illegal transfers, we will come back to square one. And that time, it will be too close to the December 7 elections. This is why we are saying we need to adopt a dichotomous approach. Look at the register, fix the issues in there, and also audit the very IT systems that allowed these anomalies to occur. We have heard, and Madam Chair spoke about the fact that we certainly do not require external assistance. I've also heard some EC officials question the legality. We have CI 91 as amended by CI 126. We also have CI 127. Okay? A suggestion is being made that on December 7, we are likely to see missing voters list at the polling stations. Is that not the case? Is that not what we've been told here? About 1,551 voters are likely to be captured on a list that will be called missing voters list. Is that not it? I'm here to identify which of these laws has missing voters list. But you see, it's a reasonable remedy for the problem that we are dealing with. And so when you have to go beyond these in a way that it will not hurt but help our democratic process, you need to give it greater consideration. I come also to the point of adjudication, and we saw some very huge figures in the presentation. Are these figures emanating from the very adjudication meetings that NDC participated in? Because to the best of our knowledge, the meetings that we participated in, we did not treat these figures in tens of thousands, about 20-something thousand. So once again, it will be important for a forensic audit to identify where these over 20,000 figures are coming from. Because the report that we have does not support that. We come to the issue of proxy. We are being told proxy, 2,167. Great. But we also know people successfully filed for proxy without going through biometrics. As we speak, which of these 2,167 people went through biometrics and which of them did not go through biometrics? It is going to take maybe a follow-up question. EC may tell us maybe 1,000, maybe 900. How do we verify that? This is a matter that we have raised at IPAC before. For those of you who were at IPAC, this proxy and some people not going through biometrics, we've raised it at IPAC before. Again, we come to the issue of Pusiga. Just like COVID-19, when some people were trying to call it a certain country's disease. Perhaps we should not be calling those criminal transfers Pusiga transfers. And it will take a forensic audit of the EC's IT system to know where those transfers took place. And because I do not have the answers on this Pusiga matter, I want to ask some few questions. One, the login credentials given to your district directors, the passwords, can they modify it so that it will become unique to them? Example, if you are given a bank card, your bank will give you an initial password, and because they don't want anybody to have access to your password, will give you the opportunity for you to change that password of your bank card. In the case that we are dealing with, the district officers, the passwords that they are giving or the login credentials that they are giving, are they said that other people can have access to them? And so when you have said criminal transfers taking place, the only way out is to check the digital footprints of such transfers instead of just looking at the geographic location where the transfers ended and say that that is where it took place, so that officer or officers are the people who are culpable. If others can have access to those login credentials, then it is important that a forensic audit establishes exactly the footprints of where these transfers took place. Still on Pusiga, are we being told here that 4 years ago, 2020, there wasn't technology across the globe to be checking biometrics with the face? Is that what we are being told by the Electoral Commission? Is that what we spend the taxpayers' money on in the year 2020? Contrary to all the advocacy by Imani, Ghana, and the rest, Is that what we are being told? That this liveliness test could only be activated after the revelation of Pusiga, and there is evidence that it was only activated during the exhibition process. The Director for Electoral Services eloquently captured this on the TV3 program one Saturday morning. I have the video clip.
Doc, please,
right
can you
here
round up? Because you've gone beyond the 4 minutes that we gave you. Can you pause so that maybe we go to another set of questions, rounds?
Again, I've heard the word assurance, reassure, many times. When assurance is given, the assurance is treated with value judgment, and that value judgment is hinged on reliability and credibility. We have had palpable experience on different occasions with the Electoral Commission that obviously demonstrate that we must rebuild that trust in order for us to accept assurances. And the evidence is obvious. Basic arithmetic errors during limited voter registration exercise. Basic. And here we are talking about auditing IT system. These same IT people were those who were using CorelDRAW to be working arithmetic. We also experienced 2020 declaration of the presidential results. Declared, corrected again. Assurance is built on trust. That trust is broken. Again, we've all been to the corporate office and the headquarters of the Electoral Commission before. We see the police and the military protection, even for officers. How BVR laptops could be stolen under CCTV surveillance, military and police protection, damages our trust. We are also dealing with the number of times that we were expecting the PVR to be released to us. A letter written, and we were glad to have received it from the Electoral Commission in July, all the way through July, up to August. Zilch. August 14, nothing happens. August 16, nada. Until 19th of August. Those series of assurances, expectations that were broken, hurt and damage our trust. So when the assurances are given, we treat the assurances with value judgment that is emanating from these trust issues that have been broken. We are here looking at the evidence that we presented. And we are glad that the EC has accepted 3 out of 5. And where they don't even accept, they try to explain. And that is one of the reasons it is not strategic to provide the Electoral Commission with a full gamut of what we have. And I will explain. And Esofori, the day at the EC corporate office, why were we not told that Esofori had effected a transfer and all the details that we are being given? It is possible all these are true. I do not doubt them. Hear me clearly. It is possible. But you see, when you provide political parties with the provisional voters register, you expect our analysis to be based on the data that we have been given. You do not expect our analysis to be based on any extraneous material. If there are researchers here, they must understand exactly what I'm saying. So, the PVR that we were provided with, if you analyze them, would you have arrived at the same conclusion? The answer is yes. So even there, as you try to rationalize after having the information, what you forget is that you are assembling what you did not provide political parties with to rationalize. This is why, because of the coefficient of bias, which is very, very high in this case, there is the need for a forensic audit of not just the register, which is being fixed. Why not? And I commend the EC. The EC says that after they have fixed all, and I thought per the submissions of the EC on air, we have heard several times, they had already corrected all the things. Go online. You find that the NDC issues have been fixed. But we do admit, we don't want to be linguistic purists. We do admit that maybe it was an exaggeration. As they fix them, they have promised to provide the updated version. We came here with a hard drive. If the updated version is already, why not? We will pick it and still analyze, take it through the very analysis that we did. But that is only about the register. That is only about mopping the floor. It doesn't fix the leakage. That is why our demand is in two folds. Forensic audit of the register and forensic audit of the IT system of the Electoral Commission. Yaira has a very simple question for Dr. Yaufurieje. Then we end our case for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. And thank you, Madam Chair. First, Dr. Ofori, you made mention about the ABIS, that is Automated Biometric Identification System. Initially here, you said that it is only when it detects double registration that it moves to adjudication, if I'm correct. Unfortunately, you came back to say that now all ABIS moves adjudication, all double registration moves to adjudication. So I think that is the correct one that you just said lately. Now, in terms of the transfers, when you talk about the liveliness detection, from what you said, it was detected during the the exhibition exercise when we alerted it about based on the procedural issues. Now, the question that I want to ask is, what measures did you take as a commission to correct all this? I heard you saying that all those who did facial transfers have been reversed. What if somebody did a legitimate transfer? And on what algorithm did you use to effect those reversal? Now, the other thing that I want to ask has to do with you said there was a network issues in generating the register, and that caused some of the data to be corrupt. Now, the question is, do you generate your data from your central database system or from the district? Because what I know is that your liveliness system, in terms of the online registration, when you click on it, it hits your central system to detect whether somebody is doing multiple registration or not. Now, as you stated clearly, in data migration or transfer, there is no way a data can be altered. The likelihood of what will happen is a missing of data. Now, we have a situation whereby a voter's ID number is being given to a different person. If you have your system here, I think that one I can give it to you for us to check correctly. Then there's another way where the data is being given to, when you search, the person's data is not in at all. You have to just go through by searching using the person's name. So those are the few questions I'll ask now. Once you ask, there will be a follow-up questions on those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Last part. No, please. We've given you more than 9 minutes. No, so please, can we go to another? Come back. So please. Thank you very much. GHOne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Frank Osu Frempong, the National Communication Director for Ghana Union Movement. Mine is 2 quick ones. The first is on the concerns raised by our brothers of the NDC. And my observation is that if there is a possibility of the EC's IT department engaging the IT sectors of the political parties on a different meeting so that they can, because some of the things are technical to some of us. So if they themselves meet and they can find a way to understand or judge or to come to a strong, decision on how to implement all that the EC is telling us, I think that would be very good. Secondly, mine is on the missing voters. And after commending the EC for a very good job done to this time, I wish to say that since every vote counts in determining the final outcome of the elections, for us to know who wins, by the mandate given as 50% plus 1, I'm calling on the EC to do due diligence in addressing this particular issue, so that at the end of the day, no eligible voter is disenfranchised from exercising their expected civic duty, which is also a part of their fundamental human right to determine who should lead them. So I pray the EC to do this for us. Aside commending them for a very good job done, they need to do due diligence on this for us, on the missing voters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The mic to APC, and then we go to the NPP.
Thank you very much. My greetings to Madam Chair and to all party members here from various parties. First of all, I want to applaud both the NDC and Madam Jane Mensah, the Commission, for doing a great job and listening.
Here is to the friends who took the chance with no regrets.